At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Start all over again, shall we? Unbelievable. You know, this time it was just because I was so stupid I didn't put my microphone on. All right, we are going to start all over again. Let's do it. Okay. Get ready, North State. Award-winning AJ Lee and Blue Summit are bringing their high-energy, jaw-dropping roots sound to the Cascade Theater on Saturday, November 1st. Thank you, by the way, for everyone telling me that the microphone was off. I saw call the red phone. I didn't quite see. There you go. Then I saw this no sound. All right. Well, let's talk about this. If you've ever had a chance to listen to this group, they are amazing. If you like bluegrass, kind of that country flair, a little bit more of the bluegrass, really, blues, right? This band right here, they are amazing. And they are going to be at the Cascade Theater Saturday, November 1st. And you can get your tickets. Okay, folks. Let's start fresh. Here's what we're going to do. Check this out. This is what I'm going to do because this is just killing me. Let's do this.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
There it is. Hey, good morning, everyone. Get ready. North State award-winning AJ Lee and Blue Summit are bringing their high-energy, jaw-dropping roots sound to the Cascade Theater on Saturday, November 1st. From festival lot jams to the national stage, this Santa Cruz, they're semi-local, Santa Cruz band is redefining bluegrass with soul, grit, and California charm. Don't miss your chance to see this band live in concert. Tickets are available now at the Cascade Theater. Grab yours today at cascadetheater.org. All right, we're going to talk about the rain. And this is something I talked about with no sound just a second ago, but here you go. Look where most of the rain was. West of I-5, Trinity County, and Humboldt County. We didn't see much in parts of, say, Crescent City and Delaware County in general. Now, decent amounts out towards Etna and Wairika, for example, even Mount Shasta, but east of that, very dry. Chico got some decent rain too, but north, Red Bluff, Redding, only about 6/100ths of an inch of rainfall. A little bit more in Shingletown and Chester, but not much. Susanville, I don't have any reports of any rain there. And Alturas, only about 6/100ths of an inch of rainfall. Kind of interesting to see that. Now, the reason why is the area of low pressure and the positioning of it. If we had shifted that area of low pressure just a tad to the east, the forecast would have a little bit more spot on, right? But that's where things got tricky. This low pressure system is one of those where it really defined who saw most of the rain depending on its exact location. And that's really the trick for today as well. The exact location of that low, and you see the main band of rain that's associated with it, but on the outer edges of it, north of it, there is going to be some rotation around that low and some disturbances that could develop some showers around Chico, maybe even as far north as, say, places like Bernie, but mainly in the eastern mountains in parts of Plumas County as well. So we look at some of the snowfall totals, not very impressive. I would say that there was some snow. I do know that there was some snow on Scott Mountain Pass, 5,400 feet. On Highway 3, northern Trinity County. Looks like there was some snow, or at least near the pass there at Cedar Pass. And you can see some of the snow that we did see in some of the eastern mountains. But again, you had to go pretty high in elevation, mainly above 6,000 feet, before you started seeing some of that accumulating snow. And in fact, what's interesting is if you watched my 6 o'clock in the morning update, I had mentioned the winter storm warning, which did include northward all the way up to Bernie. And I mentioned during that forecast that I would be willing to guess that will expire later today. Well, within a half hour of me posting that video, well, look what happened. The National Weather Service decided to cancel the winter storm warning for the entire Northern California region. Of course, then south of that into the Sierra, there still is that winter storm warning for today. All right, so what I was going into and what I realized when my audio was off, I want you to check this out. This is in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. I'm a part of a national weather network. And this came from one of the cameras in one of the members in the group in Tennessee. And he sent this to us. Look at that. So you see that flash. Okay, you're like, okay, a flash, whatever. Was that lightning? No, it wasn't. you can see right here the fireball. Boom. We're going to keep looking at that. We're just going to keep talking about this. First of all, you'll notice the line, and then once it hits the atmosphere, the lower levels of the atmosphere, it explodes. It hits a brick wall. And then you see that little fireball that stopped, but then another little fireball that came after that. Thank goodness it didn't survive that trip down. But man, oh man, what an amazing shot. This right here was actually in Alabama, coming from a Wise camera. Looks like someone's home camera there. And, you know, the green kind of picking up on some of that. So just an amazing video right there. Right there. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. All right, let's take you back to that winter storm warning. Of course, that's no longer part of what's going on here. All right, let's get you into the weather headlines. Cool and unsettled today, dry and warmer by midweek. Mountain and coastal showers Sunday into Monday, but most of next week looking dry and mild. So here is your Krueger's Quickcast. For those of you that are like, hey, I just want a quick look at the forecast. I don't need the whole deep dive. That's fine. I get that. So let's just get you through the day, shall we? Temperatures upper 40s to low 50s for your daytime highs. Excuse me, not daytime highs. That would be cold, right? For your temperatures right now. Upper 30s, low 40s in the mountains. And we've got about 45 in Eureka. Well, Crescent City a tad warmer at 51 degrees. So this morning, I think most of us will be dry this morning. Maybe some fog, especially in the mountain valleys along the coast. Some of those inland valleys as well, but otherwise partly to mostly cloudy skies to start off the day and dry. But there's a lot of rain down to our south. That's because the area of low pressure that impacted us yesterday is to our south. So you head down into the Fresno area, you head into the Sierra, they're getting pounded with snow. And of course that rain that we're seeing in those lower elevations. That low pressure system will still have an impact on our weather today. But again, it's going to be really tricky. So here's what I'm going to say. Before we start this animation, we're going to say the farther north you go, the slimmer the chances of rain. Let's talk about that. All right, so we're going to take you into midday. Not much going on. We've got a few clouds, especially to the south, hanging on around the north end of the valley too. But look at the Lassen, Modoc County, Siskiyou County, the coast, Trinity County, all looking at mainly sunny skies and dry conditions. Dry for pretty much everyone else. We go through the afternoon. Again, this is the HRRR forecast model. It keeps updating every hour. So we're looking at this for the first time together, seeing some of the latest developments. 3 p.m., still not much going on. Now, there you can see some development later on this afternoon and evening. Now, again, you can see around Bernie, even just north of Redding, we're seeing a stray sprinkle light shower. But I would say this, Red Bluff southward, you've got the best chance for a stray shower later this afternoon and evening. And then pushing into tonight, most of it's down to the south and east of us. Still some clouds. In fact, there may be some fog that could develop late tonight, tomorrow morning for the Sacramento Valley. But I think most of any fog that we do see tonight, tomorrow morning, will be in the mountain valleys and those inland valleys as well. So for today, Redding, Cottonwood, Anderson, most likely dry today. Red Bluff, Corning, Chico, Willows, Oroville, maybe a chance for showers late this afternoon. And then east of that, eastern mountains, chance for showers. Possible thunderstorms too, by the way. Modoc County, you're mainly dry. Siskiyou, Trinity, Del Norte, Humboldt County, all looking at dry conditions today. And for tonight, we're looking at upper 40s to about 50 in the valley. 20s, upper 20s, low 30s to the north and east of the valley. But for places like Trinity County, inland, you're generally in the mid to upper 30s, even some low 40s, and mid to upper 40s for you along the coast. Your 7-day forecast for the valley, dry through Saturday, although as I mentioned, maybe a chance for showers around Chico, maybe Red Bluff. And another slight chance even for the valley on Sunday, but mostly looking like that will be in the mountains if that even happens. And then maybe a lingering chance going into your Monday, as well as the coast, possibly Sunday. For Siskiyou County, you're dry. Modoc County, most likely dry today. And then for places like the Eastern Mountains, Susanville, for example, you may see a stray shower today. But then a better chance coming in for Sunday, I want to say a chance coming in Sunday and possibly into Monday for some areas as well. All right, so that's a look at the forecast. I didn't want to go into that. We didn't want to look at that. That's not, we looked at that earlier. Why is it in there? I don't know. It just got in there somehow. Take a look at Lake Oroville. It's dark. That's what that camera's showing, that it's still dark outside. Yes, we got kind of that night vision going on at Lake Oroville, North Forebay. Looks like kind of hard to see exactly what you can really pinpoint from all of that. It looks a little foggy, but we do have, it looks like kind of those overcast skies there. You're looking at Main Street, Chico. They did see some rain, so we're looking at some leftover puddles, looks like on the road there. We're looking at Highway 99 at Neal Road. And looks like we have got mostly cloudy skies there as well. We're going to take a look at Highway 44 at Sundial Birch Drive, temporarily unavailable. All right, something's going on there, not quite sure. But that would pretty much illustrate the mostly cloudy skies. And we've got the mostly cloudy skies in Crescent City this morning. Let's see if we can see. No, I don't really see it. Okay, we're going to take a look now at Bald Hill West. But before we get to that, a little foggy. No big surprises there. Oh, I did want to see if the Elk Country camera is up. It is. Let's get that up and running. And we'll take a look at it. And here we go. Where is it? Oh, come on. Seriously, dude? Come on. You know where the button is. So there's a... It's that morning. It's a look at Elk Country. Looks like it's kind of clear. Still, the pavement's a little wet from yesterday's rain that it did see. We did see some pretty good rainfall amounts, which we talked about at the top of the show. So that certainly was interesting. Again, there's a look at Bald Hill West this morning. Looks like it's a little overcast, right? Kind of that fog. Looking out at Soda Ridge, you got the mostly cloudy skies. It's clearing, and that clearing trend will probably continue through the morning. We'll call it partly cloudy in Siskiyou County for today. Look at that, sucked in with that fog in Scott Valley this morning. So if you're in Etna, if you're in Fort Jones, Callahan, right? It's looking cloudy, but you go above that cloud cover and it is sunny skies, folks. So yeah, that should burn off here later on. All right, here is a look at our sponsor of Coffee with Krueger. That is Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. So thanks to Wind River for their support of Weather NorCal and Coffee with Krueger. All right, take a look at that deep dive forecast. Yes, for those of you that like a quick forecast, I do what's known as Krueger's Quickcast. And then really what I've always been known for is kind of just going into a lot of detail with the forecast. Sometimes a lot longer than others, just depends on what's going on with the weather. We have a little bit to talk about here, so let's get you right into it. Temperatures right now, upper 40s, low 50s in the valley, 30s, 40s for the higher elevations, and along the coast there, Crescent City, not too bad at about 51. So again, this is the area of low pressure. What made yesterday's forecast really tricky is this is one of those storms where the overall location of where it ended up determined whether or not my forecast was a bust. I was expecting more rain for the north end of the valley, but most of it was to the south. I was expecting more rain off in the eastern mountains, eventually by late in the day yesterday into last night, but didn't amount to much. And the reason being, it was the location of this low pressure. What happened was, what was expected to happen was it was going to kind of ride down the coast here and then eventually kind of do this yesterday evening. But it didn't do that. It's doing that now. But it rode down a little bit farther to the south than expected. And as a result, because of where most of the rain came from was that main band of rain here. Now, there were some disturbances on the outer edge of that, and that's what brought some rain in some areas like Siskiyou County. Even Modoc County saw some of that activity. But the main band of rain impacted mostly Humboldt County, Trinity County, and west of I-5, especially Tehama and Glenn counties, where we saw the heaviest amount of rainfall. And then east of that, yes, there's a little bit of rain in Chico. We did see some rain in Redding, but it was so light. And then, of course, northeast of that, and east of that into like Lassen County and Plumas County, just didn't see much. Because again, the trajectory of this storm was a little different than what was anticipated, than what the forecast models were indicating. And that's why there was a bit of a bust for some on that forecast, but not so much for others, right? So if we had taken this storm and had it kind of shift a little bit more this way, then yes, we'd have seen a lot more rain in the eastern mountains in Modoc County. Had everything to do with the positioning of this low. And today's forecast, same type of situation. As you can see, it is starting to make its movement to the east, but most of the rain is well to the south of us. Now the flow around that low is going to kick off a few disturbances. So yes, I do think that, say, north, as you head northward, the chances are slimmer, but there are places to the north that could potentially see some of that rain. So let's talk about that in Futurecast. 8 a.m. All right, so there again, you see how that's kind of trying to push northward. So could some of those showers work their way into Chico, Willows, Oroville this morning? Not out of the question. Places like Portola, maybe even Susanville. But you'll see here, midday, it's mainly dry. I mean, look at the coast. Look at Trinity County. Look at Siskiyou, Modoc County. You're looking at mainly sunny skies. Then we go to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of it's down to the south and east. But see this right here? This is that flow around that area of low pressure. It's bringing the clouds. We may see some development late this afternoon and evening. So places like Bernie, northern Lassen County, western portions of Shasta, and even Tehama County, seeing the potential for some showers developing. Now the flow around that low wants to do this. Okay, so if we see some development up here, some of it could try to work its way into Redding. However, looks like most of that will stay here. And so these storms, or these cells or showers, are going to work their way southward, but really have a hard time sustaining themselves. It depends on how strong they get. If we see thunderstorms develop here, and some decent thunderstorms, they may maintain themselves and bring some rain to places like Red Bluff, Corning, and Chico. However, looks like most of it will stay in the foothills and east of that. But we can't rule out some of those stray showers, first of all, through the morning hours to the south in Chico, Willows, Oroville, and then late in the afternoon, maybe some showers coming off of the mountains and working their way into places like Red Bluff and maybe Corning. But you can see it's not going to be very much. Now by tonight, we are seeing maybe some fog for parts of the valley, and I do expect to see a lot of valley, mountain valley, and inland valley fog as well. But tonight, still some rain down into Plumas County, by the way. And then by tomorrow morning, we are done with that. And that's that fog I was talking about developing here for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, it is dry, partly cloudy skies, and we are looking at dry conditions continuing into your Thursday as well. There you can see Thursday afternoon, taking you throughout the day. There are those clouds developing, maybe along the coast here, and then maybe some high clouds moving in. But overall, you're dry for the rest of the week after today, right? And then high pressure builds in for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, dry conditions. And then this storm system right here, I've got my eyes on, that looks to be here sometime around Sunday. Could bring a chance for some rain. Looks like latest forecast model is a little bit stronger with that system, bringing a better chance for some showers for the valley. But the forecast model is still kind of fine-tuning Sunday and possibly Monday system as well. But that will dive down to the south here by Monday evening into Sunday. But again, something we'll be watching closely. And with all the snow that we've seen, we actually do have some chain requirements. Just northeast of Fresno, there's Mono Lake, so east of Yosemite National Park. A lot of chain requirements there. Look at the chain requirements we have south of Lake Tahoe, right? A lot of chain requirements there as well. But we take you northward into the North State, Northern California, not a chain requirement to be seen because we just didn't see as much snow up here. It was down to the south where we saw the bulk of that here, and that was expected. Lake Tahoe southward, for example, right? Cooler than normal conditions is what we're expecting here. My microphone is still on, just double checking. And look at the 10-day trend, right? 81 is the normal high for Redding. We should stay below that for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then dipping before going back up again for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right, so here's a look at your lake levels. What's interesting is you'll notice only about 1/4 of a foot drop for the most part for Lake Oroville. The last several days, we've been seeing over a foot of drop here. So that's good to see. They're probably maybe just releasing less out of the dam there, but still over 100% for all of these lakes for a historical average. Wave heights are dropping today and especially going into your Wednesday, so no small crash advisories, but we take a look at coastal flood alerts, there aren't any. I needed to take that out of the rundown as well. Here's a marine forecast. North winds at 10 to 15 knots, waves from the north at 4 feet at 5 seconds, and from the northwest at 8 feet at 11 seconds. As mentioned, no small craft advisories. Your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Looking at Trinity County here for today, you've got the dry conditions through Saturday. A chance for showers by Sunday and possibly lingering into your Monday. Take you to the south, 60 in Mad River, 62 for Forest Glen. Dry today. Just a beautiful fall day in the mountains, especially in Trinity County. Beautiful fall day for the North Coast as well. Look at that. Miranda, 72, as well as Garberville and Redway, about 73. We take you up north. Temperatures low 60s for Ferndale all the way down to Rio Dell. You got that chance for showers by Sunday into Monday of this upcoming weekend. 65 in Trinidad today. Hoopa. Willow Creek, hey, look at that, 75 degrees, looking absolutely gorgeous. 71 degrees for Orleans, 67 for Gas Key, and there you can see Crescent City and Klamath, about 61. And your Dignity Health, Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast for the Highway 96 corridor, mid-60s, low 60s for the I-5 corridor. You're going to be looking at dry conditions in Siskiyou County today. Also Scott Valley, you are starting with that morning fog in Scott Valley, but that should burn off here later on today, especially later on as we go into the afternoon. For Mount Shasta, you're dry. For Siskiyou Central and Siskiyou County, dry as well. There's going to be some of that patchy fog for some of those mountain valleys here in Siskiyou County too. Otherwise, temperatures mainly in the 50s for today. Modoc County, you've got 57 degrees for Newell, 58 degrees for Alturas, and 56 degrees for Aden. You're mainly dry today and dry until Sunday with that chance for showers in the eastern mountains. This is where, okay, I think what we're going to be looking at here is this. Same situation. The farther south you go, the better the chances for rain. Beaver, Fall River Mills, Bernie. If you get caught up in a stray shower, maybe, okay? Maybe even places like Montgomery Creek and Shingletown, Viola, maybe places like Manton getting caught up in some of that as well. Paynes Creek, possibly, right? And that's later this afternoon as they develop, they could be working their way down to the south-southwest. All right, now we take you out to Lake Almanor and Lassen Park. Temperatures mid to upper 50s around the lake, mid to upper 40s for the park. Snow levels probably 6,000 feet or higher. Take you to the south, Paradise, maybe a stray shower later on this afternoon, and maybe even in the morning hours as some of those kind of kick in. Mineral about 54 and 56 degrees out in Doyle. Here's your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast to the south, 65 degrees out in Corning, 64 in Orland, and 64 degrees for Willows. Here's your 7-day forecast for Chico. There's that chance for those showers out there today. Maybe a little bit this morning, maybe a chance this afternoon, but don't count on much. Otherwise, you're looking at dry conditions for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, as well as Saturday, and maybe a chance for showers on Sunday. Let's take you up to the north. 70 degrees for Redding, all the way down to Anderson. Cottonwood about 68. And there you can see out in the valley also that chance for showers by the time we get into your Sunday. 71 degrees will be that daytime high on Sunday, back down to 67 degrees on Monday. All right, there you go, folks. Hope you got everything you needed out of that part of the forecast, and of course your Krueger's Quickcast. And you can always check the latest forecast from weathernorcal.com, the free Weather NorCal app. I've got a 24-hour streaming channel on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick. You know the drill. I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere except the TV airwaves, which, you know, that's the reason why you're here. You're probably not watching as much TV as you used to back in the day, right? I don't at all. So there you go. There you go. I'm looking at, let's take a look at that again. That was so cool. Check this out. This is in Alabama last night. As some of you may or may not know, I am part of an affiliation called the National Weather Network. We are a digital network only, and we are growing and growing and growing. And one of the members of that network is in Tennessee. In fact, there are two of them in Tennessee, but one's in Lawrenceburg, the other one's in Knoxville. This is coming in from our affiliate in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, but this is a shot from a Wise camera in Alabama. Check that out. Now, as you head north, so this is in Alabama, you can actually see the fireball itself. This, take a little bit longer, let's kind of advance it in time. This is the flash that you saw in what's known as a town called Mount Pleasant in Tennessee, in southwestern Tennessee. And you can see the flash that came out of that as well. Very cool. Gotta love that kind of stuff. One last look at that fireball. Boom. There it was. How awesome would that have been to be out there to have actually seen it? That would have been pretty amazing. All right, well, let's check in with some of you this morning, see what's going on now that my microphone's still on. Let's see here. So I can't hear you. Lisa Stevens saying, me waving at my screen didn't help. I know. I need like someone who has a connection with me who watches every morning. Maybe my Apple Watch will just buzz on me or something. Get the microphone on. McKinleyville. Rowdy Kelly is giving me a little heads up saying that, Mike, it has been a while. Clear and cool here on the coast in McKinleyville. Probably wasn't the case yesterday, right? You probably saw some rain. We got Jeff Johnson saying good morning, and we've also got Jackie Dixon, one of our regulars. She's saying good morning from Trinidad. Looking forward to a break in the rain. Yeah, you got some good rain out there yesterday. That certainly is the case here. And here is Rowdy Kelly saying, we had snow as low as 4,800 feet in Horse Mountain just east of Eureka yesterday. Now, that's interesting. I think it was in Trinity County. I was predicting snow levels around 5,000 feet, so not too bad. We did see that snow on Scout Mountain Pass. That's at 5,400 feet, so that doesn't surprise me too much. Thank you, Rowdy, for that report. I always appreciate those reports. We kind of get that real world after the forecast and see how accurate I indeed was. I'm humble enough to know that I'm not always right? I mean, we can only be so accurate. That's kind of what it is. It's a forecast, right? So there you go. So thank you, Rowdy, for that information. That is certainly some cool information. Well, we're going to leave you with some cameras here. Let's see here. Let's see if that's ready to go. We're going to get some music going. We're going to see if the cameras are ready. Oh. I just saw it. What you're going to be looking at here in just a second. Check it out. Look at that. Do we not live in one of the most beautiful areas in the world? I mean, come on. Look at that. Of course, as from the snow, I was actually quite honestly expecting to see more snow on top of the mountain there, because you can still see a lot of bare spots on those ridges. So it doesn't look like really we got a ton of snow. In fact, we looked at the snowfall estimates after the snow of what the radar had kind of shown, and it didn't show much more than 4 to 6 inches. But the ski park did get to see a little bit of snow for a short period of time, but before it melted. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All right, we're going to leave you with that and a couple of other shots here. Hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Hopefully you can hear everybody, unlike you couldn't hear me at the very top of the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great morning.